Good morning. Just waiting to see that I'm on. Am I on? Can you hear me? Clear all the airwaves. Clear all the airwaves. It's time for the big broadcast. This morning we're going to finish up my little introduction to a true and faithful relation of what passed for many years between John Dee and some spirits. And here's the edition, actually, that I wrote the introduction to, and it's absolutely gorgeous. This is around a 1990 or 91 edition from Magical Child Publishing, home of the famous Magical Child bookstore in New York City. And it is a gorgeous edition. And it has the sigillum on the back. And it's a facsimile edition. So there's, besides my introduction, there's very little that isn't just the original material. And it is a bit hard. It's very clear, so it's not that it isn't legible, but Elizabethan spelling where the S's look like F's and stuff, it's challenging. But anyway, that's the edition that I'm introducing here. And so I'm just taking the second part here, which is very, very brief. The method of science, the aim of religion. To the modern student of magic, a true and faithful relation is a treasure without equal. We experience almost voyeuristic self-consciousness as the intimate nature of the record unfolds. We become eavesdroppers on the details of the most remarkable magical event ever recorded. To Dee, magic was science. He took excellent notes, recording each experience with the precision of modern scientific notation. He did not wish to talk with angels so he could bewitch his neighbor's cow or seduce the girl next door. He sincerely desired more information about the laws of nature and the underlying principles of creation. Like Henry Cornelius Agrippa and Giordano Bruno, Dee was conscious of the fact that he was perhaps the most learned man of his day. Everything that was known to man was known to him. He was the world's foremost authority on a score of subjects from geography to mechanics. Where does a man who knows more than any other person on earth turn to when he still has questions? The answer was God, or more accurately, God's messengers to mankind. The angels, who throughout biblical literature appeared to pious men to teach the knowledge that was hidden from mortals. The patriarch Enoch was one such man who found favor in the presence of God. Hence, Dee used the word Enochian, and we've been pronouncing it Enochian, probably incorrectly ever since, to describe his efforts. From 1582 to 1589, Dee and his scryer, Edward Kelly, plunged almost daily into the black obsidian mirror that was their doorway to the angelic world. Despite his somewhat dubious reputation, Kelly was a gifted clairvoyant. It was obvious from the earliest sessions that something extraordinary was taking place. Both men seemed genuinely surprised by the success of the initial contacts, and the awkwardness of these early sessions is touchingly amusing. Questions concerning world politics and matters of state dominated these first encounters. But as the sessions continued, it became clear that the angels had an agenda of their own. Dee and Kelly were informed that the angelic world could be more easily accessed and communications more efficiently facilitated if the magician actually spoke the language of the angels. The communicating angels then proceeded in the most complex and extraordinary manner to teach them the angelic language. This event is without parallel in magical history. Israel Regardie, in his massive work, The Complete Golden Dawn System of Magic, writes this: "The Enochian language is not just a haphazard and combination and compilation of divine and angelic names drawn from Enochian tablets. Apparently, it is a true language with grammar and syntax of its own. Only a superficial study of the invocations suffice to indicate this to be a fact. The invocations are not strings of words and barbarous names, but are sentences which can be translated in a meaningful way and not merely transliterated. 18 invocations or calls, written in the angelic language, comprise a system whereby the magician can access the unseen elemental universe underlying the phenomenal world. A 19th call is used to penetrate the spiritual world known in the system as the 30 Aethers. These correspond roughly to the ascending planes of consciousness of the Kabbalistic universe and explored by the magician in the same manner as path workings. It is ironic that Dee and Kelly did not utilize much of the technical information dictated to them. They seem to be almost entirely absorbed in the process of obtaining the data. It would be over 300 years before the material Dee and Kelly labored so hard to obtain would be organized into a magical system by the Golden Dawn genius S.L. McGregor Mathers, who recognized the intrinsic value of the surviving diary material. The records found in A True and Faithful Relation supplied the bulk of this information. The two major branches of modern practical Enochian magic, elemental and etheric, were grafted by Mathers into the Adeptus Minor curriculum of the Golden Dawn. In 1898, Aleister Crowley joined the Golden Dawn and in 1900 attained the grade of Adeptus Minor. The passion of his exploration of the Enochian system far exceeded the efforts of his predecessors, and in 1909, while walking across the North African Sahara, he completed his systematic exploration of the 30 worlds of the Aethers and chronicled them in his masterpiece, The Vision and the Voice. Hermetic scholars have seriously compared this document to the visionary works of William Blake and the prophetic writings of Ezekiel and St. John the Divine. Interest in Enochian magic has mushroomed extraordinarily in the last 10 years. And remember, this was written in 1990. And books on the subject command a respectable amount of shelf space in occult bookstores worldwide. Some of the material is excellent, offering the serious student the opportunity of experiencing something unique, a magical system that really works. Sadly, many other works are of less value and, in my opinion, do a disservice to the seeker. Especially disturbing are the presumptuous attempts of some authors to guide the visions of readers intimating that the operations are failures if they do not match those the author suggests should be expected. Recently, attempts have been made to standardize the methodology of the operating procedures and create a form of modern Enochian orthodoxy, which I believe is absurd. Ironically, the one work that very few students have ever had access to is the one work they would find the most interesting and helpful. It is the first Enochian book I believe anyone should read. And until now, it has been almost impossible to find. We owe great debt of gratitude to Herman Slater for making this treasure available to the public. Herman has since passed away. The enduring quality of this edition of A True and Faithful Relation will ensure this remarkable work will survive for centuries to come. So that's the end of my introduction to A True and Faithful Relation. Tomorrow we're going to pick up an introduction that I wrote for another classic work that perhaps many of you have not even heard of. Opus Mago-Kabbalisticum et Theosophicum. And it's a book on alchemy, mostly a book about salt. You'll find out more about salt than you ever wanted to learn. But it's by an alchemist, George von Velling. And what makes this particularly interesting is that it was written in German and wasn't translated into English until this edition here. But it was a very, very important book in the development of the Golden Dawn and Hermetic magic and everything that we're talking about in these introductions. As a matter of fact, this book formed the monographs or the knowledge lectures for an occult order in Germany, the Gold- und Rosenkreuzens, or however it's pronounced, that helped found the Society Rosicruciana in Anglica, which of course was the predecessor of the Golden Dawn and everything else that followed, including you and me. In other words, this one book might actually be the mysterious Fräulein Sprengel, the German, the continental adept that supposedly was the fabled founder of the Golden Dawn. And it's very strange. Its existence was known in the English-speaking world for a long time. But unless you spoke German, you weren't even able to gain access to the book. And a very good friend of mine, a film director and film producer, Patricia Baker, was traveling with her husband in Europe just to buy antiques for their new house. And she picked up this an original 1717 German edition of this. And when she got back home, she said, "Oh, we bought this antique book just to be a decoration in our house, but it looks rather mystical and stuff. Do you know anything about it?" And so she told me the title of it, and I went, "Oh my God, that's a beautiful, rare book. Whatever you paid for it probably wasn't what it was worth." And she said, "Well, would this be something that should be translated into English and marketed?" And I said, Yes, absolutely, if you know someone who can translate it." And she just happened to be friends with the head of the German department of Smith College. And bless her heart and bless her generosity, I put her in contact with Weiser Books, and she had the thing translated in this beautiful, beautiful edition, and I wrote the introduction to it. I also went to England to the British Library to do research comparing the 1717 edition with the 1749 edition and to take other notes. And so I'm very proud of the project. So we're going to read that tomorrow. So I hope you, even if you're not interested in alchemy, I hope you stay with us and come back tomorrow to hear my introduction to Opus Mago Kabbalisticum et Philosophicum in English. Until tomorrow, be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.